And you could make millions and millions of dollars. You die when you're 60 because you're sick and your body just deteriorated. And like, what was that worth, man?
Yeah, what was
right?
that
like,
worth?
What is your legacy now? Like your family, they never saw you, maybe, you
Yeah.
know, because you're working. Like, and again, to each their own, man. People need to make that decision for themselves. But like for me, that's not the legacy I'm trying to leave behind at all.
No, where does like our mind energy, our spirit energy, soul energy, where does it exist within the physical form of the body? You said between the head and the heart.
That's just my opinion, right? Like that doesn't mean it's true, but yeah.
I think there's, for me, there's a stretch of in my gut because you have actually, I love how the fact that we're so scientific, and there's a stretch of like where in your gut that hits the vagus nerve because we feel so much feeling and sensation within our gut that there is a direct vibration between your vagus nerve and your prefrontal cortex.
Right.
And like I think it right within your vagus nerve like is where like your spirit,
a lot of that soul energy
where
is.
that soul energy comes from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's because it's literally going. I mean, it's going straight up, right? It's going like through the kind of messaging through your heart. That feeling is produced like in the heart, which then like basically kicks out blood through all your capillaries into like the various extremities of your body, right? Which then kicks it up to your head. So like your feeling is associated to everything that's producing.
Yeah.
Like along the way. And then a lot of what happens here through that vagus nerve is activating in your brain because your brain wants to like, that's what's activating your mouth to move.
Right.
Any information load. I mean, there's so much going on in the brain in terms of like, long-term memory bank sources with your hippocampus, right? Mm-hmm. Your cerebral cortex is just like a freaking bundle of nerves waiting to accept all that information for where the vagus nerve's at, right? Then you have like your basal ganglia. Your basal ganglia is like the motor neurons within your limbic system to move.
And those go throughout your entire body, right? Like
throughout the entire body. Getting deeply, deeply spiritual. When you think about it, it's like an out-of-body experience.
Yeah.
To an extent. Like, as I'm talking, I feel like I'm like hovering. Like right here, it's weird.
Looking at yourself.
Right? Like looking back at yourself. But that's like such a good idea as far as like to slow down sometimes and understand how the body works. I'm reading this book right now by Greg Harden, and he's like, I want to be an expert on me. Like it's all about becoming an expert on me. As we become the expert on you, it's like, okay, not only do I want to be an expert on me, but like I want to know how my body works. Like I want to know how, like just how I move, how I operate, how like the cadence. We were talking about sleep. We're talking about all these things in terms of like health. It's like, how are you becoming an expert on you? Right. It's like important. And everything, know where your soul is.
Yeah, and everything we're talking about is very, I think, individualistic, right? Like people, we're so different, right? You and I have a lot of the same habits and a lot of the same goals and that kind of stuff, but we're very different, right? Yeah. Like our physical makeup and everything. So your physical form and your physiology is very much an outward expression of your inner, your soul connection, man. Like how do you think of yourself, right? Like you can think yourself sick. You can also think yourself out of disease. Yeah. Right? There's these crazy studies that show people who have life-ending like illnesses where they're basically deemed like, hey, you have a few months left. And if you change the course of that, right? These people who chose to like, no, forget that. I'm going to survive this. I'm going to figure it out. And they have such a positive attitude to their core. And then the disease goes away, right? And the doctors are like, oh, we don't know how this happened, right? There's like countless like cases like that. Yeah. Oh, it's a miracle. Oh, this is an anomaly. It's like, is it? Or is this how it's meant to be, right? Like, but there's so much negative, like, oh, you're going to die. Oh, you have this disease. You'll never get past this, right? How many doctors say that kind of stuff? Like, this is something you're going to have forever.
Living in a blue zone, it was that documentary that I was telling you about.
Yeah.
I think I had mentioned it. This guy goes all over the place, right? He wanted to understand how people live to 100 or even past 100 with optimal health. And there was this one guy, he was from Greece originally, came over to the United States, lived here for a number of years, but turned like, I think he was in his mid-70s, might even been in his 60s, married, and they gave him a diagnosis that he had about 4 months to live. And so he's like, man, well, if I have 4 months to live, I want to go back home to Greece. You know, I haven't been there. I haven't lived there in a long time. I want to go back home to Greece and just basically my like essentially his death wish was to go home to Greece and just pass away there. So he goes home with him and his wife, and somehow this guy is 100 years old now. He's lived 25 years, and they asked him, they're like, well, where did your cancer go? Like, where you got sick, you came here, like, where did everything go? And he's like, well, I guess I just forgot to die.
That's awesome. That's the best. Yeah.
It was the best. Like,
and he was so positive, probably, right, in that environment, and it was just so good for his soul, man.
That was 100%. He's like, you change the environment. There's a pastor, Mark Batterson, that always says, change a place plus change a space equals change of perspective, right?
Yeah.
And that was a powerful, but that's what actually resonated me with that guy was like, okay, you just gave me like, I only got a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
And that's super negative. Like when somebody says, bro, you got 4 months to live. Good luck, man. We'll see you later. Like we're not going to do anything. Just have fun.
Shot to the gut, man. Yeah.
So then you're like, okay, well, I got 4 months to live. Have fun. Like, like what do I do? Like, how could I have fun? Like, you just gave me the timeline, right?
Yeah.
So then you maybe have a few bucket lists. He said, look, I just want to go back to Greece. Then he forgets to die, right? There's enough, obviously, like positive energy that like going through that scenario that was change of place plus change of space equals change of perspective. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I got that wrong. It was change of pace.
Yeah.
It was change of pace. So his pace changed. Like he would live in the United States. It was like busy.
Yeah.
And then he changed his place, got change of perspective, and his body healed. Like all that inflammation was obviously taken out of his body, and he still lives. He's freaking 102.
Yeah. And I think a lot of those blue zone things that they are showing is like so much like, yeah, their diet's probably healthier, right, than like the modern American diet, but so much of that is the community and that positive, just like good like energy that these people are absorbing all day long, right? And their entire life. Yeah. That's why they live to be over 100.
Dude, honestly,
healthy over 100.
That's why I freaking do this, man. Thursdays are fun, man.
Yeah.
Just love like chatting about like positive things, like you know what we're producing in terms of content is like, we all want to be healthier. Like that is the pinnacle. Like you can make. The point is to make a lot of money, right? You want to make a lot of money, but like you also want to make a lot of money and be the most optimal and healthy you.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's also like change the perspective on the money thing. Like why make a lot of money? So you have a bunch of cool stuff. Yeah. For me, no, like that's not the goal. Like my goal is so that I can like impact, right? Like I would love to be able to educate, travel and share, the knowledge that we have and what we're doing, our mission. And if money allows me to do that, that's awesome. Right. You know what I mean? But like, my car runs great. I don't need a new car. Right?
Yeah. 100%. We talked about that the other day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like my car, like everything that I have is cool. Like my life is enough, more than enough. I'm blessed beyond what I deserve. You know what I mean?
Dude.
But
amen to that.
So yeah, it's like, what are you going to do with that money? Oh man, this is getting deep, but I like it. A lot of people need to like really reality check themselves on that, right? Because it's like, man, you can make millions and millions of dollars. You die when you're 60 because you're sick and your body just deteriorated. Then like, what was that worth, man?
Yeah, what was that worth?
What is your legacy now? Like your family, they never saw you, maybe, because you're working. Like, and again, to each their own, man. People need to make that decision for themselves. But like for me, that's not the legacy I'm trying to leave behind at all.
No way.
I think we talked about this, man. The generational health. That's what I'm trying to leave, right? Like, wealth is great, and like leave your family set up and supported so that they can, be safe and provided for. But also, I want my kids to grow up as health as like a foundation, and then their kids will grow up with a higher floor. Like, no, we set ourselves to this standard, and then their kids a higher floor, right? So like eventually down the line, like the generation will be, or the legacy will be that like we are just like healthy people. Yeah, like we just have generational health. Yeah, and that's ultimately the goal, because health is wealth, man. I say that all the time. Yeah, health is wealth. I mean, and taking it back to the spiritual sense, right? In like 1 Corinthians 3:16 and 17, like our body is a temple, right? And how are we maintaining that temple? Like this is just a shell; it's a borrowed shell that we have right now. It's going to age, and I was thinking about this too. It's like the reality at which we are going to age. Like we're both pretty young right now. We're vibrant. We can talk. But then it becomes like, just because we're going to age, what are we doing to still live beyond limits no matter how we're aging? Right. So this whole like anti-aging, the reality is we're going to age. Like there's no anti-anything. You are going to age, right? But there is a difference between you aging gracefully, that aging component
of like, no, I'm going to actually make the right decisions now and create a like solid discipline so that I can potentially live beyond limits when I'm at 60.
Yeah.
And then some guy, you know, you're the one they're looking at and they're like,
what's he doing?
What is this guy doing?
Like, I've just always done this. Yeah.
I've always done this.
Yeah.
And I think of this too, as you were saying that, was I had to really put in when I really dug deep and was like, all right, what do I want? Like, yeah, do I want to make a lot of money? Yeah, so like I do. I want to do really, really well in my businesses. And then I also, what is that for? And I think you make a really good point is like another thing that I want to do is like I don't want to leave much behind. Like the point is actually from my standpoint is to make an impact and then utilize that money to further this mission of living life fulfilled beyond limits.
Right.
And with the intention of expanding, number one, the kingdom, expanding everyone's mental, physical, spiritual output on a day-to-day basis. And we can utilize that as a platform, right, to facilitate that. That's what I want to do. But I also don't want to forget, and Greg Hardin goes into this book. This book's really good, but of like controlling the controllables. And the measurables are not always to, in my eyes right now, and I know in your eyes too, of like, I'm not trying to like impact the world so that my family, it suffers, right? And I want to make sure I'm like that example, especially when my girls are young, because I can form their mind and their brain. Because my definition of success at the end of the day, I'm getting into my 60s and 70s. I'm jacked. I'm like freaking running around with my grandchildren. I'm doing like that's a goal, right? But is to have my kids to have that same mentality and that mindset of what I taught them. Like that is the most important thing, because if I did all this other stuff, right, impacted all these other people, but then I didn't control what the controllable was. Like what good was it? The controllable was like, God, like, dude, I'm blessing you with this to bless others, but like that's your controllable right now. And so my controllable was like my wife, my kids. Like control the controllables, Matt. Like they're young. You're still relatively young in your marriage, like 10 years, I don't think is too old. And so how am I controlling the controllables to maintain and grow and blossom that and nurture that? Then at the same time, still making an impact. And this is our platform right now. We created this platform. Like we talked about it. God downloaded in you. Dude, we need to call it full fueled, and we need to make sure that others live beyond limits. And that's what we're doing right now. But then we're also making sure behind the scenes we're holding each other accountable to control the controllables. So I think that was important to share.
Yeah, man. And, you know, a lot of that is I think about, like, growing up, like, my mom was always like, leave the room cleaner than when you got in, or, like, leave the place the way it was, or, like, you know, leave it a little bit better. Like, when you go to someone else's house, like, you don't just go to your friend's house, trash the place, and then, like, leave. It's like, no, like leave it better. And I'm like, what are we doing to leave the world better, or like leave an impact everywhere we go, bro? Like even when you walk into a Publix to go grab some food, or like you go wherever you go, like are you leaving an impact? And I know this is getting a little bit like people are like, oh, everywhere. Like it's like you can, man. Like did you smile at someone, or did you walk through looking like just this grumpy, like just lousy person, and then now maybe that negative energy is like onto that person, and they're like, damn, like my life is kind of not great too. And then, or did you smile at them and say, hey, like, how are you, you know? And like maybe that little bit just like can kind of shift them into a positive state. Then they go home, they have a better interaction with their family, right? And it's like that is vibration, right? If you think about it, like our vibrations can spread through how we treat people, how we are, like just in general, like how you are. And you know, we talk about like people talk about like mission statements and like what's your mission, right? Or like what are you doing? And I think a lot of it is you know, our co-friend or a friend in common, Jeremy, like talks about like the intersection between what's your passion, your purpose, and then like the gifts that you naturally have, like these things that are just innate to you, and like where the intersection of that is, that's your mission, right? And like how I think we definitely are gonna use that in our optimizers program for whoever, you know, is involved is going to have their own mission statement, and that's why they're doing what they're doing, right? Obviously the program's to get people healthy, get them to be optimized, living you know, their best life, but like why? Right?
Why?
What does it matter if you don't have a why? So like that's a huge part of it, right? And that's I think the term purpose gets like overused, but it's so important, man.
If you want to hear your question answered live on the show, submit it to ask@fullfuel.com. Check out the Optimizers program where we build max muscle, improve longevity, and get guys freaking shredded so that they can crush it at life for as long as possible.
Live full fueled, live beyond limits, baby.
Yeah, overused, but do you ever want to lay your head down at night and think, like, is this it? Like, I had a friend come to me the other day, and he was like, man, I've gotten to the point, pretty successful guy, runs a business, and he, like, what's been going through his head, God's blessed him with children and an amazing wife, and he's like questioning, he's like, is this it? Christian guy.
Right.
Is this it, right? And if you aren't setting the baseline and know where you're heading of, like, where Paul says in 1 Corinthians of, like, we're constantly renewing our mind.
Right.
That level of renewing your mind is coming to the basis of gratitude that says, wow, like, this is it. This is awesome, right? And tomorrow's going to even be better. There's a speaker, too. I don't know if you've ever seen him. His name is Nick. I think he's international. He might be Australian. But he was born essentially without limbs, so he has, like, really short hands and really short feet, and a torso, like a full torso, full head.
I know who you're talking about.
But like, he was not born with like the limbs, just like his hand comes out. He's an international speaker now. One of the things that, like,
that guy had every excuse to be like miserable, and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
The world would have given him every chance to be just pity party, miserable, do nothing, I hate my life.
And
right?
which he was.
And,
at one point he was.
Yeah,
like,
and people would have been like, okay, like, we get it. You know? And they would have
man.
just accepted that. And
100%.
he chose not to. That's freaking huge.
He chose not to. He chose to redirect, right? Of, like, the mindset. And now he's impacting millions, because if you're like, look
That's
at him,
it,
you're
man.
like, dude, if I can't be grateful, wow.
Yeah.
Like, if I can't be grateful and that guy can, like, shame on me, right?
Yeah.
Of, like, the direction and the narrative of which I'm pushing forward in my life. Like, my head wants to come back to, like, every day.
Yeah.
Like, it comes back to, man, this is hard to parent 3 girls, like, be a husband, be an entrepreneur. Like, life's hard. Like, I go to bed and I'm, like, smashed. Like, I'm like, oh, man, I'm tired today.
Yeah.
Like, I got everything today. Like, but
it's beautiful.
It's beautiful, man. Like, so grateful. Like, that's why I love the mornings. There's just so much joy in the morning of, like, waking up. It's, like, going to be a beautiful day. And I was even talking to my wife this morning about, like, something that's going on in our personal life right now. And that was even a thing, is, like, we had to control the narrative at which our tongue was expressing.
Yeah.
And say, hey, come back home. Like, actually, today's a great day to be alive, man.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, everything going on. Like, it's tough to see what's going on even in Israel and what's going on abroad and many other countries, right? Where there's a lot of friction and hostility. But, like, it is still an amazing day to be alive. We're gifted with this day.
Yeah.
And so how are we utilizing it for
That's
the
right.
most that we possibly can?
Yeah, and so much of that, man, is like, how are we, like, helping our fellow, like, people? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like others. Like you said, that guy could have internalized his entire situation and been, you know, so focused on me. Oh, like, and even when he got, like, changed his mindset, it could have been all about him, but he's making it all about others. Like, how can he help others, right? And, like, I think that's what it is, man. Like, obviously, that's our mission too, is to help as many people as we can to, you know, through like what we've experienced and, you know, how we've seen the positive impacts of being healthy, being, you know, fit, the proper nutrition on our life, how that's impacted us positively. Like, how do we help others do that, right?
Yeah,
and that's the goal, man. It's all about other people. You got to be a servant, you know?
Yeah, and aging gracefully.
That's
at
right.
the same time.
Yeah.
I think it's a mindset. Is really what it comes back down to.
And it has to be like, you have to be conscious every day of that mindset, man.
Every day,
because you will get off, you will get distracted, you will get shifted, right? And so, like, there's a book. It's called the Power of the Subconscious Mind.
Oh yeah,
freaking awesome book. Yeah. Damn, it is dense, dude. It is like. I don't know why they printed it in such small text too. It's like, but like every page I had to read like 3 times because I'm like, that was so much to digest that like it took me like a month to read this whole book. And like normally I read books pretty quick, like I kind of speed read, but like you couldn't this one. But the concept is like if you tell yourself every single day subconsciously, like, damn, I'm ugly, damn, I'm like fat, I'm kind of a loser, like I suck at this, I can't do this. Even if you say it out loud, people are like, oh, I suck, like, oh, I suck. Your body internalizes that as truth, right? And so like you're consciously saying something that your subconscious is listening to. Flip that now, you can use your conscious thoughts, your conscious words, statements, like affirmations, to train your subconscious mind to believe that now, right? Yeah. You wake up every morning, you're like, dude, I'm loved. I am happy, right? Like I have a beautiful family. Like I am doing things. Like I am helping others, right? Like you start to convert that, and your energy starts to increase. Like you start to be more productive. You start to just shift that internal narrative that you think about yourself. It's massively powerful. Like some people think affirmations are kind of cheesy and corny. Dude, just do it. And try it. And do it for same thing like we always talk about. Like set it and make sure it's a thing. Do it every morning. Yeah. And it will change your life.
Yeah. What's cool about you even saying that is like it's a super dense book, right? And you can read. I read this book by Stephen Hawking's, Power versus Force, and so you can read the entire thing. The Power of the Subconscious Mind is a phenomenal book. Like super dense. There's so many of these books, which I love reading. I think it creates you need to read. You need to read every day.
You have to.
But the one thing that creates like the narrative, like if you choose to read and choose to obviously read the right stuff, there's a separation between like fictional and nonfiction, but like do both, you know?
Yeah.
I tend to like lean towards the nonfiction and then I add in some of the fiction. The fiction books though I get from my kids reading, my kids' books, like Little Critter.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. It's fun.
So that's a good one. But anyways, it's good and healthy for them. And like as Genevieve, she's reading right now, but this is what I was trying to get to, is when you are in any state of mind, helping others is always best.
Yeah.
Like just helping other people. And so like when you help people, like that's the narrative, like that's life. Like at any point, right? You just help people.
Yeah.
Like if you're in a depressed state of mind, don't even think about it. Just go help somebody. And
that's right.
And it might be what you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
Like a smile, dude. Like a smile, like there was,
or a compliment, right? Like, oh, that's a really cool outfit you have on.
There was this is not to brush my shoulders or to lift me up, but there was a really, really cool scenario that happened the other day, and I was like, man, God, thank you for letting that happen.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me ask that question. So I was getting flowers for my wife for her birthday, and so I walk into the flower shop, and I was like, for some reason, I was gonna go to Publix, but I'm like, I know there's that flower shop on Florida. It's like a small business. I wanna go there. I feel like I've been there before. I'll go there. I didn't know if she'd be open because it was like 8:45. So I had a quick meeting and then got in there around 9:10, and the door was open. So I go in there, I start talking to her, and then I ask her, I'm like, hey, how you doing today? She's like, good. And, the topical conversation that, a lot of us have.
Yeah.
I was like, how's business going, And she responds to me, and she goes, good. She's good. And she could have left it at that. And which I feel like a lot of people too.
Yeah.
But then she went on, and she got super vulnerable with me, and business wasn't going that good.
Yeah.
And I was like, man. And so I was just sitting there listening to her. She's like, I don't know if I'm going to have to get a job. I don't know if just things have been really crazy, the economy, and I've experienced that in my business, right? And
same.
I'm like, shoot, like I get it. I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, things are really, really hard. And then she's just saying like, it's been super tight. I'm like, man, yeah. And so I'm like, I appreciated the level of vulnerability, where it's like, there's been times, I'm not going to lie, I'm like, dude, she's oversharing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, feel like I'm a customer. She's oversharing. But
she's oversharing compared to normal. But like, I think everyone should share more, right? Like, it's healthy, man. Like,
it's healthy, and she was being transparent. And so I was like, man, this is, I appreciate it. And so like, Tim Tebow was talking about it when I was at that conference last weekend. We had met with just a small group of kingdom-based entrepreneurs. It was really good. But like the God prick. Like this, God pricked your heart. And so like I asked, like, God prick my heart. Like, what are you asking me? Like, prick my heart. And so he's like, well, help her. So all right, what does help me? And so I was like, the classic thing is like, can I pray over your business? It's something I easily can go to because discomfort and prayer. Like I feel like I can pray over everyone.
Yeah.
had asked me right before we went in, she's like, what's your budget or whatever? And I was like, like, I don't know, like $50, like $50 worth of flowers sounds reasonable, right? Yeah. And so she's putting these flowers together. And so then she gets like the flowers all done. She's still chatting with me a little bit. And she's like, oh, okay, this is going to be $53. I was like, again, this is not to like overinflate the story, but like, it was the God prick. I was like, just charge me $150. And so she's like, really? And I was like, yeah, just charge me $150.
Yeah.
And so she like charged me $150. And then I was like, can I pray over your business too? Because I want to like make sure I leave you like in abundant.
Right.
And so I got to pray over her business. I'm gonna freaking cry right now, dude. It was like awesome. Pretty intense, man.
Yeah.
So it was cool. So it was. She rung me up. We prayed. It was just like a quick prayer or whatever. She asked me like about church. I was like, you really need to attend our church. It's a really cool church, and we're called Radiant Church. She's like, I'm moving to South Tampa, and I was thinking about. I was like, just do it. I think it would be a great connection point for you. But this is the thing. This is where like I wanted to lead to in terms of like a mindset, right? It was like uncomfortable for me. Do you want to spend like another like $150 on like flowers? No, don't really want to spend $150 on flowers that day.
Yeah.
Did I really want to like, pray over it? Yeah, I think that was those are the God pricks. This is the reality. The energy at which I imposed in that moment that God called me into was the direct energy that potentially could be the correlation of that woman's mindset becoming, man, this is a super hard time in life. Life sucks. I'm going to have to get a job, this, that, and the other. To potentially, dude, he just prayed over my business. I'm going to go out there and make shit happen.
Let's go. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And
he just gave me $100 extra. Let's make shit happen today.
That was pure energy, positive energy that you like transferred to her, man, essentially, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, it was God. It was God, like, pricking the God prick, right? That's correct. What I love about that.
Yeah.
But, I just had to be obedient to it. But, like, I'm like, dude, go get it. Let's go get it now. Yeah. Just give her a dap, go get it, But, like, that's, I think, what we're trying to, like, that's the culmination of stuff that can happen.
That's right.
Of, like, let's go out there and get it.
Yeah.
Let's get it,
It's only positive when you give to others, man.
Give.
It's only positive. And it's like, what was the extra $100 to you? Like, your kids are still going to eat, right? Like, you still got your house, you're going to be okay.
Exactly.
To her, that was a big deal, right? So it's
big
like,
deal.
Like, how can we like impact others like that all day, all the time, right? And I don't give away a lot in my practice, but like I will help people who need it, right?
Dude,
like I'm never going to turn away somebody.
Yeah.
Like I don't like if somebody doesn't undergo a treatment plan with me, it's because they chose not to. It's not because I said, hey, you can't afford this or they can't afford this. It's because they chose not to. Something, even if they said it was the money, they just didn't want to. They didn't want it, or they couldn't justify it for themselves, right?
Yeah.
But like that's never been an issue that somebody didn't get better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just like on my heart how I've felt like people need to be treated. You know what I mean? That's how I'd want to be treated. That's how Jesus said we need to treat everyone, right? It's like,
dude,
how
you do, man.
Yeah,
I love it. You're changing lives. I don't know. That was like an impromptu episode, but that was freaking.
That was deep, man. That was
amazing.
Good stuff. Yeah.
I love it. I think we need a thumbnail that, like the power of positive energy or something. I don't know, dude. That was amazing.
Yeah.
But that is truly living beyond limits. That's truly living like full fuel.
Yeah.
Is like having the intention and the narrative of like, let's go get shit done. But like, it's through a giving mentality. It's playing that giver's game.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
and,
huge.
We talk a lot about fitness and nutrition and the physical health and stuff like that. But like, man, that takes backseat to being spiritually, mentally healthy, right?
Yeah.
Like, because that drives everything.
Dude,
if that's not there, man, you'll never achieve what you want to achieve. You'll never get those goals, right? Because your brain's your subconscious is always going to be the threshold to what you can achieve,
100%.
right? And if that's at a low level, that's at a negative, pessimistic, just downtrodden place, that's your bar, right? Like, that's as far as you'll go. So
the power in the subconscious mind, being
man.
eternally positive, dude. Live life full fuel,
full fuel,
live beyond limits, baby.